Hey guys, this is Ren. If you're curious about the change of scenery, I am recording from my friend's basement, so that's what's up with that. The title of this video is The IDF Lies and the Burden of Proof. So let's talk about that. During the last couple of weeks, I have been trying to follow what's been happening in Gaza, whether that be through social media, through the news, through different like podcasts and like alternative news things that I listen to and read. Um, and there's been a lot of fog of war, but there's also been a lot of intentionally manufactured shit um, to make it impossible to talk about or research what's happening in Gaza uh, without just getting hit with like a wall of bullshit. Um, Couple examples of this. Um, I saw a photo of two IDF soldiers helping out an elderly Palestinian man in his 60s. And then a little bit after that, I saw a picture of that same Palestinian man having been shot in the back twice and killed. Um, his daughter and his granddaughter said that the IDF soldiers killed him after taking the picture, and the IDF said that Hamas had killed him because he had received help from Israel. Um, there was a situation where the IDF bombed a car in Lebanon, another country completely unrelated to what is currently happening in Gaza, and said that they had taken out several terrorist operatives. And then it came out that there were 5 women in the car, a grandmother, her daughter, and her 3 granddaughters, who were 10, 12, and 14, who all died except for their mother. Um, there was another instance with the hospital. I know you guys have probably heard about the stuff with the hospital. Um, Gosh, just there's been stuff at Al Shifa, Al Aqsa, the Jabalia, refugee camp, where at first it was they bomb the hospital and then people who are in the IDF take credit for it and say that it was a justified strike. Um, and then there's a massive media backlash to it, and then they say, no, we didn't do it. It was Hamas. They were trying to launch a rocket into Israel, and then it failed, and it fell in their own hospital, and Hamas is evil. Um, I would agree that Hamas is pretty bad. But and then it turned into here's an animated video showing the tunnel network underneath all of these different hospitals and why they are legitimate targets of war. And then with Jabalia, it was there was a Hamas operative who was at the Jabalia refugee camp, so we bombed it. And then they say, oh, well, you know that like 400 innocent people died. You know that there were people who were sick there were children there were women there. And then they say, I think you understand that this is very complicated. And then they bombed it again. And then they bombed it again. And then they bombed it again a few days later, continuing to kill people who were searching through the rubble for their loved ones, continuing to kill people who were trying to help wounded people. And then the most recent stuff that has kind of just broken my brain with Al Shifa Hospital is wounded patients trying to flee, waving anything that they can that resembles white flags, rags, whatever they have on them, and being shot by the IDF as they attempt to flee. And the IDF then raiding that hospital, having said beforehand that hostages were being kept there and that it was a Hamas base of operations. They produced no hostages. They produced 10 guns and some magazines that don't, like, a large amount of them do not match the ammunition type that would be used by the rifles. And they point towards a calendar on the wall. And they say, these are the names of... and they say these are the names of the people who are keeping watch over the hostages. This was their rotation. And they say here that this is an offensive or whatever. And then, like, people who could actually speak Arabic said, no, this is literally just the days of the week. And I translated it, and it was the days of the week, and it was a calendar. Um, they pull out this like copy of Mein Kampf in Arabic that just looks like it's straight from Amazon. There's not a blemish on it. It has like these perfect like little highlighting things that you would put in for like notations in like 5th grade, and like sticky notes that like a Hamas person had left there, and they were like, we found this in a children's living room. Um and like the stories just from what is the IDF narrative, like it changes so quickly, and it's like like honestly some of this shit changes every 12 hours or every 6 hours, and it just feels so impossible to keep track of. And it feels like the reason that it is like the reason that they are saying these things, even though like it's obvious that they aren't true, or that if they're true about this, then they had to have lied previously, or if they were true about the previous thing, then they're lying now, or they didn't know what they're talking about and they pretended they were. It's just to keep us talking about it, and to distract, to demoralize, and to demotivate. And so yeah, when it comes to the burden of proof, it's not on us. It is not on the civilians in Gaza. It is not on the civilians in Gaza. It is on the IDF. I remember the IDF, when asked about civilian casualties in Gaza, said that they were inflated, that the Palestinian health authority was not to be trusted, that they were Hamas numbers. I believe Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden repeated that Palestine was lying about civilian casualties. And that was when it was about 3,800 children that were killed and about 11,000 people total. Now it's up. Now it's up a bit more. But then a couple days later, when asked about how the ground invasion in Palestine was going, they said that they had killed 20,000 terrorists. So by their own numbers, they are inflating the official death count by like a matter of 2. I would argue that the Israeli death count of 20,000 is actually probably pretty accurate. Because like the communications infrastructure in Gaza, and the ability to help people in Gaza is so severely harmed that it is really impossible to keep track of the amount of deaths. And it's probably going to be a lot of people who we never know what happened to. We never find their bodies. But yeah, it is not on you. It is not on you to refute their lies, because they aren't trying. And I was thinking, when I was like looking at like a statement that had recently come out, I was like, gosh, I just assume that everything that comes out of Israel is false. And I just assume that they're lying all the time, because I don't trust them at all. And I was like, well, fuck, how can I actually like have an accurate opinion on this? How can I actually like know how can I actually get a bearing of what's happening if I just reflexively do not trust anything that they put out? And then I remember, because they lie, because I don't trust them, because they've done everything possible to make it to where anyone who doesn't like inherently see Arabs as less than human would not trust them, because they lie, because they change their story all the time, and that's not something that a reliable source does. And so yeah, it's not on me. It's not on you for not trusting what the IDF puts out. It's on them. That's about it. I'm working on a couple other videos, but editing is kicking my ass, and honestly, I'm kind of just too depressed watching children and women and innocent men die for no reason. But I'll do my best to get them up. Have a good week. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.